clear on like what's not working for you, but also what has worked really well. Because if you can figure out those little golden nuggets of time when things have worked really well, then that helps you kind of move into that flow of abundance, being focused on how you want to feel to get to your desired outcome.
You're listening to Thrive by Design, business, marketing, and lifestyle strategies for your jewelry brand to flourish and thrive. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Thrive by Design podcast. This is episode 129. Hey there, it's Tracy Matthews, the Chief Visionary Officer over at Flourish and Thrive Academy, and your host for the show today. And today is a very special day for a very specific reason, because it's the last episode of the year, guys. I cannot believe it. And, a little bit of a funny thing, you've probably heard me talk about this, but I moved about a month from the time that this episode is going to air. And in my building, I love my apartment. It's amazing. Super great. I have a lot more space. It's in a nice sort of luxury building. So I have a lot of amenities so I can go work outside of my apartment during the day, which is fantastic. And I've been loving it. But I also do really enjoy working from home. In fact, I record a lot of these episodes, or most of the episodes, at home. So when I moved in, I didn't realize that the base for the construction elevator in my building, since this is an emerging area in a brand new building that they're still finishing up, is right next door to mine. So all day, it's like jackhammers. And it was just like, oh my gosh, I wanted a fresh start, but I wasn't expecting it to start with jackhammers. So I'm literally recording this episode in my closet. So I'm in the closet today for reals, which is kind of fun, but also kind of crazy. It's a little warm in here, but it is more soundproof than the rest of my apartment at the moment. So I'm going with it for now, but the good news is that I've been working from a soundstage when I need to do batches of audio. So that's been working really well because I've been super productive. And today I'm going to talk a little bit more about this idea of productivity and a lot of things that relate to that and how to sort of pick the one word that will shake up your life and business in a very powerful way in 2018 and beyond. So we're going to dive in a moment, and I'm going to explain to you what I mean all about this stuff. But I thought you'd enjoy my story of Tracy sitting in the closet. It's time to come out of the closet, Tracy. But I might be recording a lot of podcasts in here, actually, because sometimes I just get inspired and want to record an episode on the fly, and I just plug my mic into my computer and go. So this might be a regular occasion. I'll have to, create some hashtag like Tracy's recording in the closet or something like that. Super funny. Anyway, the good news is this is a special episode for a lot of reasons. I love the topic of today's episode. And when we dive in, I think you're going to love it too. So make sure that you share this one because it's a good one. I think it's going to be really helpful for a lot of people outside of the jewelry industry as well. So this is a very special episode because it's the last episode of the year. And I love fresh starts. I don't know about you, but I love fresh starts. I love starting over. I love the holiday season. It's so fun, but I just get so excited when a new year starts because I feel like our opportunity to create what we want is endless. And, by the end of the year, a lot of times we feel like a little bit worn out or maybe tousled around by everything that happened in the year. Or maybe, hopefully really grateful for all of the business growth that we've received and personal growth and however you want to state it. But, the end of the year is just a really powerful time because not only does it sort of wrap up a season for you, but it also allows you to get really excited and inspired to kind of create something new for this new year. So I'm excited about that. And with that being said, what better time to give your jewelry business a makeover? We have something really special that officially starts on January 8th. It's called our Jewelry Brand Makeover Bootcamp. And it's an amazing bootcamp that's designed to help you kind of rejigger and reboot and get your business on the right track so that you can take what you're going to learn in this podcast today and actually move it into action. This is a great opportunity for you to find out what's missing in your branding and how to get past some of those mistakes that really trip you up. And, especially if you're an independent jewelry designer or maker like I am. And, one of the things that I really love about this is that the content in the bootcamp is super valuable. It's like, this is the stuff that we're actually hosting in the boot camp is actually stuff that we would normally pay, you'd normally have to pay for because it's so good. But it's really, one of the best ways to sort of like lure in some of your dream clients and raving fans and create fans for life who want to buy everything that you wear. And we are so about this over at Flourish and Thrive, helping you create customers that keep coming back, because one-off customers don't really have a long lifetime value. What you want are those customers who continue to buy from you over and over again. And what I want to tell you is I have a customer, his name's Liam, and he's been buying from me for about 3 years. I met him at a wedding, and at the last minute, he texted me about a couple weeks ago and said, hey, I need a gift for my wife, Joy, and I designed something for him. And let's just say it was in the high 5 figures, the ticket price of this. And it was something that I've created a great experience for him and attracted a super dream client of mine. Joy loves my jewelry. And it's been a great opportunity for me to not only serve them and give her something that she loves, which is really why we're doing this, because jewelry really does add incredible value to people's lives. And we don't think about that sometimes when we're stuck in this sell mode. Or if we approach sales like we're selling instead of coming from a place of service. But when you're able to attract those people who really value what you do and love it so much that they want to come back over and over, this is how you really build a business. And the bootcamp is designed to sort of walk you through some of the things that I've done over the past 25 years, some of the things that we've learned collectively as a business at Flourish and Thrive from our other designers and from Robin's experience in the industry and our coaches and mentors. And also to sort of kind of help you focus on what works so that you can kind of get over some of those insecurities that you feel when you're putting yourself out there and fall in love with your business again. Because I don't know if you've ever been in a place like this, but if you don't like what you're doing or how your business is going, it can be more of an energy suck than something that's exciting for you. So we want to make sure that you're in a place as you start the new year and you really kick off January with a bang, that you are in that place where you're kind of kicking those insecurities to the curb and being confident in what you do so that you can attract dream clients similarly like I've done with my dream client, Liam, and continue to build your business really easily. And when you have those dream clients who continue to buy and talk about what you do and to refer you to their other friends or chat about you on social media or tag you, however, this it's not all just about one-on-one personal referrals. This has a magnitude involved in it. It becomes so much easier to build a business. It's sort of like compounding interest if you think about it in the finance world. You start making interest on money that you invest, and then that interest starts making interest on that money and continues to get reinvested and creates this snowball effect. So we're trying to help you do that. Anyway, enough about that. If you're intrigued, and hopefully you are, I hope that you will head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/makeover. And if you participated in our similar bootcamp last year that we kicked off the year, we have some really amazing new goodies involved in that as well. So this is just some of our tried and true principles that, I revisit every year as a business. And then I want to teach you how to do that too, so that you can discover more about how to really position your brand and position yourself and position yourself as an independent designer in a way that feels good to you, because that's what it's all about. So if you haven't listened to them yet, because I know it gets really busy during the holiday season, I have 2 episodes that I recorded that I really want you to dive into before the year is over. Episode 126, the 10 questions to ask yourself if you want to have the best year ever. That is over at flourishthriveacademy.com/episode 126. This is a really great evaluation episode so you can think about what it is that you want to create in 2018. Sorry, I'm dating myself a while. I was looking at the 126 and I'm a little bit dyslexic for those of you who don't know. And probably none of you know that. I don't know why I would say that, but I have a tendency to switch numbers around randomly. It's really weird. But anyway, I digress. This episode is a great episode for you to listen to if you want to sort of evaluate what it is that you want to create next year and some of the things to think about. And they're great questions. I think you should all listen to it if you haven't yet. Or if you already listened to it and you haven't had a chance to meditate on it, definitely go back to this. And episode 128, the end of the year audit, 5 questions to ask yourself to kickstart 2018 with a bang. Yes, they're both questions. We want you to take this audit seriously. So we're going to help you move forward and really get this going. So you can grab that one over at flourishthriveacademy.com/episode 128. All right. We got a lot of questions for you today, but the focus today is to really help you figure out the one word that is going to shake up your life and your business in 2018. So before I dive in, lately I've been listening to, do you guys know who Mike Dooley is? He has a newsletter called tut.com. I think it's the Universe Today. I think that's what it stands for. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's the Universe something. Tut.com. I found Mike Dooley probably like 8 or 10 years ago. I have no idea how I ran into it. But when I was teaching yoga, I would get his daily emails and I would read them in every single morning to my classes. Every time I would bring them, I would collect the good ones and copy and paste them into my phone. And I would have something that I wanted to, like a little, Dharma talk that I would do in the beginning of the class. And a lot of times his quotes were the quotes that I used. And it's funny because I'm really good friends with one of the higher ups over at Hay House, and Reed Tracy, who is one of the CEO of Hay House, is actually was one of the people that I used to quote all the time. So I think it's funny. It's like all these things coming full circle. But my friend recommended this book to me about a month ago called The Matrix by Mike Dooley. And I don't know, somehow I got unsubscribed from the Tut newsletter. I'm not sure. Maybe I changed email addresses or something. But I was just thrown back into this reminder of why I loved him so much. So if you haven't read this book or listened to it on tape, definitely download The Matrix. But one of the key principles about manifesting and creating what you want in life and business and in abundance and all those things is to be focused on how you want to feel if you were to actually achieve your big picture dream. And basically focusing on the desired outcome and the feeling that you'll feel and imagining yourself actually having already achieved it and experiencing it. And my friend Susie Moore, who wrote a great book called What If It Does Work Out? Great book for all of you who have side hustles, which we'll be talking about in another episode. We already actually did an episode with Susie, so definitely check that out. It's amazing. Anyway, Susie and I have been hanging out a lot, and she keeps saying, focus on, like when, I'm talking about maybe things I'm struggling with. And she's like, well, focus on what you want to feel when you overcome this obstacle. And so, I think this is a really good reminder as we're kind of weaving into this idea of creating, kind of figuring out what our word is for the year. And if you haven't figured it out yet, that's what this episode is about, is figuring out your word for the year. I've done this in our groups for the last several years. And for the past 2 years, my word was support. And I'm going to explain to you really quickly why I chose that word, especially because it will tie into what I'm going to be talking about momentarily. But I was in a place where I felt really unsupported a couple of years ago. I was in a relationship with this guy who was fantastic when we first started dating. He was amazing. And then all of a sudden, something changed in the situation. He had started a new job, and I just kind of became like an afterthought to him. And it was really hurtful because we were falling in love, and it was like a really tough situation. And, I had figured out like right before the beginning of the year that my one word for the year was this word, support. And the reason being was that, I wanted to feel supported by the people in my life. I was tired of having relationships or being in situations or having team players who were sucking the energy out of me instead of working in a symbiotic relationship together where I was able to give them, lead them in a way that felt really supportive. And they were able to support me in a way that I could be more creative. Because that's the whole reason why I hire people in the first place, is so to take stuff off my plate so that I can focus on what I'm the best at, which is coming up with ideas, coming up with big picture vision for both of my businesses and, dealing with the community. I say dealing, but, being in the forefront of the community, like supporting you guys who come here to listen to the podcast or who are in our Diamond Insiders or in our SOS program or who take our courses, whatever it might be, and showing up for our Facebook live show, all that stuff. I need a lot of mental space in order to show up really well. And you guys maybe didn't notice it, but I always notice it on those episodes where maybe I seem a little bit frayed. That's usually because my energy is being depleted too much and I have too much on my plate. So for me, it's really important because when my energy is high and I'm in this space where I can actually be creative, it doesn't mean I'm not getting work done, because there's a lot of work that goes into creating something like a podcast like this. But I'm in sort of my zone of genius, which is really being a visionary and coming up with ideas. It allows me to be better to my customers and attract better customers in my jewelry business as well. So this one year that I decided on this word support, there was a lot of energy being sucked out of me, not only from team members who weren't really a right fit for my team. My mentor, Ryan, always says that, you hire people at different phases in your career because they are the people that you need to get you to a certain level. But at a certain time, it's almost like the people that you hire to get you to a certain place aren't necessarily the people who are going to get you to your next level once you get there. So I was in one of those spaces in my business and I needed to make some changes, and it was really hard. I had to let some team members go, which was really tough. And then the ones that, I was holding on to for whatever reason or not ended up eventually leaving, which ended up being, a blessing in disguise, because I never think it's a good idea to have someone stay who's not fully excited about being there. Anyway, so a lot of this stuff was going around. So I kept putting it out there. And what ended up happening after I had these 2 years of having the word support, these relationships, I ended up breaking up with my boyfriend. It was a little bit abrupt, but at the same time, I didn't want it to be abrupt. Like he was kind of made it abrupt, but at that time, it was really painful. But I see now that it was the best thing that I could have potentially done. I ended up finding some really amazing A players to join my team, including Abby, who's my business manager now. And she started as a customer service person, and we've worked together. Now she's my business manager and sort of the integrator for my business. And, I found Jess at the same time and Rebecca, who are great team players. We were able to place Robin in a role that she really thrived in, and all this stuff started falling into place. And so then, what it allowed me to do is to become more creative. So I started coming up with these amazing ideas to move the business forward, which then at each stage, you end up getting to your sort of a plateau or a hiccup that ends up creating a setback, and you need a new word. And so my new word for this year is simplify. And I'm going to tell you why. The word simplify is my word for 2018, because when I come up with a lot of ideas, I throw a lot more into the mix. And this last year in both businesses, a lot of things have been, I don't want to say falling off the rails, because that's not the best way to describe it, but we've been moving a lot of things forward in the business, which has become increasingly difficult for people on my team to actually keep up with. So what we all are working towards as a team is simplifying not only our back-end systems, but also the way that we, deliver content, the way that we put things out there in the world, and also the way that we're actually, we are a business. So it's always awkward to say this on a live podcast, but we are in the business of making money. So we're streamlining actually our systems behind the scenes for how we, generate revenue in the business in order to sort of create something like a space where us as an entire team don't feel so pulled in so many directions. So you will all get there at one point where you want to do some of the same things. So I want you to really start thinking about what your one word is. And I think it's really important to have one word, or I don't want to say a phrase, but sometimes a one word thing. It might have to be 2 words, because the 2 words actually really describes the situation. But if you can, try to dial it down into 1 word. So you might be wondering, how do I figure out this 1 word? And I've talked a lot and given you a lot of story content in this particular episode, but hopefully it's helpful for you to see sort of how I came about coming up with these 2 words that I've had for the last 3 years. So first of all, the first thing that you really want to do when you're thinking about what your 1 word for the year is going to be is to really evaluate where you are now. So what has been going really well? What's worked for you? And then also consider what is not going well, because I know that that's stuff that we don't necessarily want to look at. And sometimes, depending on your personality, you might start focusing on it too much, and that starts to bring your business down, or you want to hide from it. I know that there's you don't want to even talk about it. So it's really important to sort of get really clear on what's going on with your energy, what's not working for you, but also what has worked really well. Because if you can figure out those little golden nuggets of time when things have worked really well, then that can help you kind of move into that flow of abundance, being focused on how you want to feel to get to your desired outcome, whatever that might be. So figure out what's not working well, and figure out also what is working well, so you can kind of flow into the good nuggets. So, on the year that I was coming up with this word support, what was working well was getting things off my plate. So delegating and having team members really worked well. So this is just going to be a simple example. What didn't work well is that I had grown this business, and then eventually some of the people who were on my team either grew out of their roles, or the role became too big for them, that it wasn't the right fit anymore. So I had to sort of step back and see are these the right people? And, some of them left, as I mentioned, voluntarily, and they didn't even I didn't even have a conversation. And others I had to sort of, let go in a loving way. so that they could move on to something that was better for them. And I always think when these situations happen, it's typically always better for all parties involved. So this year, what's been working well is I've had some really great, I'm going to use an example from my jewelry business, had some really great custom jewelry clients this year. But what didn't work well is that a lot of problems came up because I had issues with the people I was using for production, the woman managing my production, and a bunch of things went really awry because the projects weren't managed properly. And so there were issues coming up with the actual quality of the pieces of jewelry, which for me, I'm selling things that are really expensive. That can't happen, and it's not okay with me. So you probably heard me talking about this because I have been sharing this on the podcast, but I had a couple of really bad customer scenarios this year, which is not how I run my business. So I knew that something had to change in my system because it was getting too complicated. So I worked out a way to simplify. I hired a new executive assistant who's helping me do things to source and run the production piece. And I also found new manufacturers to help streamline the process who deliver quality work. So the second step to this is to get really, really clear on your vision for next year. So I want you to think not only of your goals for next year, but like really envision what it would look like to happen. So what is it that you want to create? What are some of those goals that you want to achieve? I recommend that there's no more than 3, but what are the goals? You want to remember those. And then also what is holding you back from actually reaching those goals? Because that is something that is really, really important for you who, you might have a goal, but then you're not really looking at like what's kind of like in the way of you achieving that. And you want to make sure that that's identified too. So if I look at my word for the year for 2018, which is simplify this year, my goal for my jewelry business is to have an automated e-commerce funnels that are driving traffic to a ready-to-wear collection that I am going to do my best to create this year. But this is like one of my goals. A lot has to change with my workload in order to make this happen, but this is my goal. And then I want to have consistent automated revenue. And what I mean by this is revenue that's coming in based on designs that I've pre-produced that don't require my design energy to do at a specific price point. So that is one of my goals. And then I also want it when this happens and I can kind of get this going, I'd like to increase the sort of buy-in order for a custom design so that we're at basically like a minimum, like I can hire my minimum buy-in for custom designs. So that's my goal with that. And what's holding me back right now is really time. So that's a huge one. It's huge for me, at least in the moment. And my goal for Flourish and Thrive Academy, which ties into this feeling of simplify because I kind of explained what was going on earlier, is to create space for my amazing team to be more creative instead of reactive. And as you grow in a small business, you have to wear a lot of hats and sometimes you're putting out fires all the time. But what you want to do, you'll get into the flow, but then something happens and something gets off kilter. Well, something's got off kilter and we are getting back into the flow. So my goal for that is to actually be back in a space where everyone's being creative. They're coming to the table with ideas. They feel like they're really contributing to the big picture vision of what's happening at Flourish and Thrive Academy. And they're being creative instead of reactive and actually being really focused on getting things done. Step 3 to this process is to be able to tie in emotion. This is a really important part of this. You have to be able to know how you want to feel when this actually happens. So this is going to inform how you select your word in a big way. And I want you to think about this when you're sort of like thinking about how you want to feel. Like maybe it's abundant, maybe it's like this ultimate expression of joy and happiness. Maybe it's, free or happy or loved. Or for me, like the feeling I wanted to have was to feel supported. And sometimes that the word can be the feeling. So think about it that way. And I want you to think also about what would it cost for you not to be able to feel this way? What would it cost for you not to be able to feel this way? For me, it's sleep. It's my health. It's a lot of things. So you need to really think about like that, the cost of not getting your shiz together. I'll try not to swear on the podcast, but you know what I mean. You want to make sure that you are focusing in a way on how you actually want to feel and what the cost is to not feel that way. So if I'm using this example for my jewelry business, it would make me really excited to know that I was able to reach more people at a more affordable price point to wear my jewelry designs. So I have a lot of hipster clients. They love, I don't know why, but they love my design aesthetic and they're really drawn to it. And millennials, I would say, they're typically, in their 20s, they're younger. And so they haven't really built their careers yet and they have less disposable income. And also with the changes with what has been going on in our world and society, a traditional expensive engagement ring isn't as valuable to them. They don't value it as much. So they'd rather have something that's cool and unique and different than having something that is this like status symbol. It's like a totally different marker for what means something to them. And so I attract a lot of those types of people. And so I want to be able to create a space for them to actually be able to buy, at the price point that works for them and to reach more of that audience, because I think it's really important. I'd also like to take a break and not feel like I'm hustling all the time, because I do. I love being busy. I love taking action and I love working too. So it's not surprising that I do this, but I'm trying to reframe how I show up, because I've really worn myself out this year. I've traveled more than I ever have. In fact, I just crossed the gold status on my airline, which is fun and crazy. I think if I actually would have made it to my trip to Kenya, I would have hit the platinum mark, but I'll be going to Kenya next year. So hopefully I'll keep my gold status for 2 years in a row. But the most important thing that I want to sort of bring to the table here is that it's important to understand the difference between being busy and busy work and being productive and getting stuff done. So the emotional piece here is like a lot of times when we're not productive, we feel frazzled and we lose our energy. So get back to that space where you can be in like feeling a great emotion. So you want to tie an emotion to what you want to create this year and have that be sort of the barrier for this. And, for me, I realized that if I don't achieve this, the cost to me is really like my health, not enough sleep, not feeling relaxed, having knots in my shoulders. Like that's a big cost to not get into that zone. And another one, I wrote some notes here, was I wrote this good. I think it will be important to you. Resentment, because like when I'm too busy, I start to resent the people around me, and that is not a good way to live. And I'm not proud of it, but it's just what like my natural instinct. And then another cost that I really identified and laid out here that I didn't think about before was feeling like I'm not living up to my full potential, which is not an option for me. I'm a high achiever, if you haven't noticed that already, and an overachiever. And not living up to my full potential is not okay with me, because I have big plans for my life and big plans for the types of people that I want to reach. So, there's a big cost to not getting in that place that I want to feel. Okay, so the next step. So let me just walk you through these top 3. Step 1 is to identify what's going on for you now, what's working well, what's not working well. Step 2 is to get clear on your vision for the year, what you want to create, incorporate your goals, all that jazz. Step 3 is to tie in emotion. Think about how you want to feel. What if you were to achieve this, whatever it is, if your life was like amazing and perfect at the end of the year. And then the next step is to really get into the nitty gritty of figuring out what this word is. Some of you might be really clear on what your word is now, but if you're not, the next part is going to be really important. Step 4 is to set a timer and brain dump for 30 minutes. So I want you to grab a notebook or your journal. If you have a Flourish and Thrive journal, grab that and set a timer and write down everything that comes up. What's working, what's not working, how you want to feel, how you don't want to feel. What's the cost to you is like anything that comes up. Play some classical music. Let the energy flow, or play some music that's soothing or feels creative to you. Preferably not something with words, because then we start to sing along and get distracted. But brainstorm. When that timer stops, you're going to have a lot of information. And I want you to then go back in and pick your words. So what you're going to do is circle the common words that came up over and over again, and circle at least 6 things that come up. And then from there, your word might actually be one of those things that you circled, or it could be something derived from the words that you circled. So if you're saying things like, I'm too busy all the time, I have so much going on, I don't know what to do, and everything's a mess because blah, 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 maybe your word would be simplify. Or if your brainstorm had to be something like, I am tired of not making money, or the money that I want. I'm tired of my day job because it's really sucking the life out of me. I really want to get into the space where my passion for jewelry design is actually making abundant money or abundant income. I want to get to a space where I'm, having consistent leads on my website, or that everything is sort of moving in this direction of expansion. Maybe your word is expansion or abundance, or it could be a bunch of different things. I don't want to necessarily put words in your mouth because there are so many opportunities. And, if you have core values written out for your business, I really highly recommend that you review those before you do this exercise, because that will help you kind of get on the right page to get this all done. So the next step is to share your word with someone. So if you're in our Diamond Insiders and you listen to this episode, I would love for you to share it in our group. If you are just sort of in our bigger, Thrive by Design / Flourish and Thrive community, I'd love for you to share this on social media and actually tag us at Flourish_Thrive on Twitter and Instagram, and Facebook / Flourish and Thrive Academy on Facebook. Or to even post it on our page. I would just love to hear, because I'm always so fascinated about the words that some people come up with, like great words like abundance or growth or support, freedom, love, adventure, sales, consistency, full time. I like that one. A couple people came up with that last year. So this is a really great opportunity for you to kind of create accountability for yourself by sharing the word. And if you're shy and you don't want to do that, share with your bestie or someone who is an accountability partner with you, and have them hold you accountable for actually getting it done, because that is the most important part. All right. So I just want to remind you that in about a week, I think, it's 2 weeks actually from today, but we're starting the pre-party in a week. That's what I mean. January 8th, we are launching day one of our jewelry brand makeover bootcamp is starting. It's completely free. It's an opportunity for you to engage with our coaches and Robin and myself for not a single penny. You can come join us and learn some of the best stuff that we teach over here at Flourish and Thrive Academy. You're going to walk away with a great brand blueprint to start to kick your year off right and help you really create your desired sharing proposition so you can move forward in 2018 and move in the direction of your word. Yes, I love it. It starts right at the new year. And I think that you are probably curious why we want to share our secrets with you. Well, we know that there is a lot of joy that comes from living your life from a place of creativity and freedom. You've heard me even talk about that in this episode, and that I'm always in a place where I'm striving to get to a place to be creative most of the time. And also, I really do operate out of an abundance mindset. I don't ever worry about other people stealing my customers. I know that if someone doesn't decide to ever go with us, that it's not a right fit. Or it's like with us, what I mean by that is like in my jewelry business, if I'm, working with a customer and they decide not to work with me, like it's probably not a good fit on either side. But also even like if you don't like what we have to offer here at Flourish and Thrive Academy and you never buy a single thing from us, I love you still, but maybe it just means that it's not a right fit, or maybe it is. I don't know. There's multiple reasons, but I really do operate out of a space of abundance. And I feel that the more that I can give to you guys, the more that we get in return, not only just from the energy that you guys give us and how much we learn from you to be able to provide value and come here every week to even do this podcast, because I always learn so much in those boot camps. So please come. It's a 10-day boot camp. We are starting on January 8th. The pre-party starts December 31st officially. We'll be opening the gates for you to join the group. Why not? We're going to party with a little champagne and intake into the group. But, you have about a week to kind of get in and get acquainted with everyone in our community. And then we are going to kick off straight away with our first boot camp challenge on January 8th. And then we'll wrap that up with a masterclass about 10 days later. I don't have the official date on my radar at the moment, but it's around January 16th. But we'll have a couple of masterclasses for you to choose from. Really excited for you to participate in this. It's going to be awesome. It's really going to be amazing. So I can't wait for you to come. Start attracting more of those amazing dream clients, like my dream client, Liam, and so many other dream clients that I have who really help me move my business forward and allow me to do what I love and live an abundant lifestyle and save money for my future and all that sort of stuff. So, all right, I just want to wrap up this final episode of the year. Oh, first, I forgot to tell you I'm going to tell you again where you can check out the bootcamp. Head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/makeover. Don't worry, this link will also be in our show notes. That's flourishthriveacademy.com makeover. And you can sign up, join us. We'll send out an email when we open the floodgates not the floodgates, but we open the doors for our Facebook group. And it's going to be super fun. Last year was just like off the rails, off the chain, amazing. And you're going to love it. So I want to wrap up this final episode of 2018 by wishing you a happy and healthy new year and so much love to all of your friends and family. And I'm so grateful. I'm going to try not to cry right now that you've allowed me to come into your ears and your iTunes box, your Stitcher box, or wherever, or you're just on our blog post feed, wherever you're listening to it through your computer or your phone every single week for the last year and a half. It's been incredible. Or for this last year, the Thrive by Design, actually 2.5 years. Oh my gosh. I forgot how long we've had this podcast. Anyway, this is really my labor of love. I love creating content. I love sharing advice and words of wisdom with you, or hopefully they're words of wisdom. I don't know. And I love showing up for you guys. So thank you so much for listening, because it really makes what I do important and valuable to me. So thank you so much. I wish you the best for 2018. I hope that you pick a kick-ass word for the year. And I can't wait to support you to help you make that word a reality. So thank you for listening. And all I got to say is high five to 2018. I can't wait to get this year started. And I'm excited to simplify my life in 2018. And I'm excited for you to create whatever it is that you desire. So take care till next time. This is Tracy Matthews. I will see you in 2018. Woohoo!